I have been pepperballed by ISP, the things that they were supposedly here to protect us from. Hi, everybody. I'm going to speak today about a specific incident that happened to me, but I'm going to preface that with this was not the first time that I was abused by ISP, Cook County Sheriffs. Likely will not be the last time. I've been coming here since my first day here was October 3rd, and I was very quickly hit with a baton. I have been pepperballed by ISP, the things that they were supposedly here to protect us from. I had an experience with law enforcement during a protest. outside the Broadview ICE detention facility that I believe reflects a serious failure in how public safety and protest policing are being handled in this state. At one point, I had seen somebody that in a mobility chair that may have needed help. I went over to see if they needed help. I was standing at the edge of the space when the situation suddenly escalated without warning. From my perspective, an officer approached me aggressively, and before I had any real opportunity to understand what was happening, I was physically forced off the sidewalk and into the street. The situation escalated almost instantly from there. Within moments, multiple officers were on top of me. I was restrained, taken to the ground, and injured before I had any meaningful chance to respond or even comprehend the escalation. I suffered injuries to my shoulder, wrist, and arm, and struck my head hard enough that I was dealing with the effects for weeks and had to take time away from work to recover. But what happened to me did not feel like a proportionate response. And this is not an isolated concern. It reflects a broader pattern of how protest activity is being managed and how quickly force is being used in situations that begin with peaceful engagement. Leadership matters in that context. State and local officials, including Pritzker, have oversight responsibility for the systems and agencies operating in these spaces. When repeated incidents of escalation and injury continue to occur, it raises serious questions about what policies are being allowed to stand and what accountability is being enforced or not enforced. At minimum, there needs to be a real reckoning with how these situations are being handled and whether the current approach is protecting people or putting them at greater risk. This is not just about what happened to me. It's about a pattern, a system, and the consequences of inaction. I'm still processing what happened, and I'm still seeking answers, but I will not minimize it, and I will not pretend it didn't matter. Speaking out is part of demanding accountability, and this conversation needs to continue if anything is going to change.